Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this channel, we are going to review and recap popular TV series and movies. The series that I'm going to review today is The Sandman. If you haven't watched it yet, I warn you that this video has spoilers. If you have watched it before but you want to refresh your memory and get ready for season 2, you are in the right place. The story begins with the arrival of Dr. Hathaway at Roderick Burgess's house. He has an ancient rare magic book. Roderick Burgess, also known as the Magus, wishes to summon the Angel of Death with the hopes of asking it to bring back his deceased son. But instead, the Magus mistakenly summons the Lord of Dreams, known as the Lord Morpheus. Following his failure, the Magus takes the Dream's helmet, sand, and ruby and keeps him in a magical circle, which leads to a mysterious and deadly sickness called the Sleepy Sickness that causes millions of people around the world to never wake up from their sleep. The next day, Corinthian, a nightmare created by Lord Morpheus, who was about to be punished by him for interfering with the waking world and killing people, pays Magus a visit and tells him in order to keep the Lord of Dreams captured, he must build a sphere of glass to contain Dreams' physical manifestation, and no one must go to sleep in his presence because he can enter into their dreams and escape. 10 years pass, and in this time Magus stays young and prosperous due to the things that he has stolen from Dream. One night, Ethel Cripps, the Magus' mistress who is pregnant with his child, seizes the sand, helmet, and ruby and runs away. Enraged by her actions, the Magus descends into the prison. Fed up with the Lord of Dreams that lacked communication and cooperation, the Magus demands again, seeking immortality, wealth, or youth, all of which Dream declines to give him. After a tense and violent struggle, Alex, his son, pushes the Magus, who bumps his head into the glass cage and dies. Ethel, on the other hand, gives birth to her son named John. Time passes on and Alex, once a young man, now grows old. One day, while visiting the Dream, his wheelchair erases one part of the protective circle. This enables Morpheus to enter the dreams of one of the guardians and provoke him to fire at the glass cage, shattering it completely. Free once more, Dream ventures to his ruined kingdom with a determination to restore it to its previous glory. He wants to restore his realm, but first he needs to take back his belongings which were robbed from him. In order to locate them, he contacts with 3-in-1 women who represent fate. They tell him that his sand was bought in London by a magic user called Johanna Constantine, whereas the helm was traded to a demon for the amulet of protection and the ruby was passed down from a mother to her son. After collecting this information, Dream goes into the waking world to find his belongings. The first stop is London, where he finds Johanna. Dream convinces her to hand over the sand, but she says that she has left it with her ex-girlfriend. Together, they go to her house and find her in a dreadful condition in her dying bed. In the meantime, we see Ethel visiting his son John in a mental facility and offering to exchange her protection amulet with the ruby because she knows that Dream is coming for his possessions. John agrees and takes her protection amulet. As soon as she takes off the amulet, she ages and dies. After taking back his sand, Dream goes to hell to Lucifer and asks her to find the demon that has his helm. Lucifer does not help him much, and Dream summons the demon with the help of his sand. When the demon appears, he claims that the helm is his, and if Dream wants it, he must fight him. The demon chooses Lucifer herself to fight for him, but their fight is not a conventional fight. They fight with words and imaginations. They say what they are in the fighting scene, and what they say turns into real action. Dream wins and takes back his helm, and now he's ready to look for his ruby. With the power of the sand and the helm, he finds the ruby in a box in a warehouse, but soon he realizes that something is wrong with the ruby because someone has altered it, so he can't hold it. Right at that moment, John arrives and takes the ruby. After taking the ruby, John goes into a diner. John uses the power of the ruby to make a better world in which there is no room for lying and everyone just tells the truth. Under the ruby's spell, the diner turns into a violent scene where everybody is killed. From the diner's TV, we realize that all over the world the same thing happened and people have left mass destruction behind. Finally, Dream arrives at the diner and John says he will use the ruby to drain Dream of his power so he can become the king of Dream. Lord Morpheus says if he truly desires this, then he needs to face him in a dream. Then he throws John into a dream in which his memories from his mother are replayed and he is once again imprisoned. Once John snaps himself out of this nightmare, he is in Dream's palace. Utilizing the ruby to absorb Dream's power, John is able to subdue him, but actually by destroying the ruby, he transfers all its powers into Lord Morpheus. Now that Dream has total power and John has become a doll standing on the palm of his hand, he decides not to kill him, but to put him back into a deep sleep. In episode 7, we are in Cape Kennedy, Florida, and in the middle of a family dispute. A couple is breaking up and two siblings, Jed and Rose Walker, are forced to be separated from one another. Meanwhile, Desire and Despair, Dream's siblings, are planning against him, believing there's a new vortex. As it turns out, this is actually Rose Walker. News of this spreads across the Dream's castle. A dream vortex is a mortal born with the ability to travel through other people's dreams and has such a strong dreaming power that can actually lower the walls of the dreaming world and waking world and destroy both of them in the process. Lucian, Dream's librarian and assistant, reports back to him that 3 of major arcana are gone: Gold, a shape-changing nightmare, the Corinthian, and the Fiddler's Green. When we return to Rose, we are in 2021 and she's still looking for her brother. Her neighbor and family friend Lyda, who has recently lost her husband, informs her that she has an interview off in England about her family history in exchange for £250 per day for 7 days. Rose arrives in Sussex with Lyda, where they meet Unity. Unity is actually the little girl in episode 1 who was one of the million people who caught the sleepy sickness and was asleep the whole time that Dream was imprisoned. Now that Unity is awake, she has big news. She said that in her dreams she had a perfect life and met an amazing man. She got pregnant and gave birth to a baby girl. Long story short, Unity is actually Rose's great-grandmother. Unity wants Rose to find Jed. Rose and Lyda go to the US. They settle in a bed and breakfast where they meet Ken and Barbie, as well as Chantal and Zelda, and of course Hal, the owner. There is also Gilbert, who lives in the attic. Meanwhile, some serial killers are looking for a way to lure Corinthian to their upcoming convention. As a special guest, he is looking for Rose Walker. As with Jet, we soon realize that his guardians don't treat him well and he keeps running away. But he escapes his miserable life in the dream world where he spends time with Gold. Gold has made a pleasant dream for him in which he is the superhero Sandman and saves the world. Lord Morpheus finds Rose and tells her about being the vortex. He helps her focus her powers. Eventually, she is able to find Jed in one of his dreams along with Gold. The thing is that they can only find him in the dream, but in real world, Corinthian manages to get to him first, killing his guardians and taking him with himself. Lyda, who repeatedly dreams about her husband, gets pregnant. This means that Rose is unintentionally weakening the barrier between the realms, and Matthew, Dream's Raven, informs Lucian of this. Lucian makes a decision to keep it from Dream to prevent any further damage, but Dream realizes this because the dreaming world starts to collapse and there are cracks everywhere. Lyda is convinced she has no life and wants to live in this dreamland for as long as possible. The thing is, this decision has made the condition of the dreaming worse, so they must stop this dream, and Hector must go back to stay dead. On the other side of the story, Corinthian brings Jed to the Royal Empire Hotel for the serial killer convention. While everyone is discussing the nature of killing, Rose shows up at the convention with Gilbert, unaware of exactly where she's ended up. After checking out various rooms, Gilbert notices the Corinthian and realizes that things are going to turn sour very fast. He immediately shows up to visit Dream, revealing himself to be the Fiddler's Green. During Corinthian's keynote speech, Dream suddenly appears before him. With all the killers being asleep, Dream reveals that Corinthian has implanted a different and more intense form of nightmare within them. Unfortunately, Corinthian has also grown in power, and Rose Walker's presence in the dream, who keeps bringing down the boundaries between the dreaming and the waking world, poses a considerable threat to both Dream and the world itself. While fighting, they enter into Rose's dream and each one tries to convince her to do what they feel is right. Given she has to choose one of them, Rose decides to raise the wolf for now and choose her own path. In the end, Dream kills Corinthian, eradicating his existence and taking his skull as a trophy. Dream assures the other killers that their time has come to an end and that from now on they will carry the weight of their crimes and the pain and sorrow of the lives they had taken. With Rose and Jed leaving for the hospital, Lyda goes into labor. Rose is still concerned and believes that Dream is going to kill her. Lyda encourages her to take control and suggests killing Dream in order to do so. That night, Rose ends up dreaming again, but in the middle of the dream, a massive vortex opens and everyone she cares about ends up sucking inside. Dream shows up and implores her to rationalize, pointing out that she's caused a great deal of damage, and in order to fix this, she needs to die. On the other hand, Unity in her dream goes to the dreamland, and with the help of Lucien finds her book of life. Right at the moment that Rose accepts being killed and Dream is taking her life, Unity and Lucien arrive and confess that Unity was supposed to be the vortex of this age, but because she was asleep her whole life, this ability was passed down to her bloodline. So she urges Rose to give her all the powers that she feels inside, which appears in the form of a giant ruby heart. With Unity now the rightful vortex, she embraces her calling, sleeping peacefully in her bed but sacrificing herself so Rose can live. Before she dies, Unity points out that the father of her child had golden eyes, and golden eyes belongs to Desire. With Rose still alive and choosing to live with Jet and the others, Dream visits Desire in their chambers. Dream threatens his sibling, but Desire bites back, promising that next time they will spill blood. Back in his kingdom, Lucien approaches Dream with big news. A new book has appeared in the library written by Rose Walker. Her life is back on track. As for Dream, he is changed and decided on a new age of dreaming, including giving Gold wings and recreating her as a dream, not a nightmare.